good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and this is the Ambassador. With me, Ambassador Susan Nganga. And here is where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics to our first story. To a developing story that happened here in Kenya last night, Stephen Munyako arrived at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Nairobi, at midnight today to an emotional welcome after spending 13 years on death row in Saudi Arabia. He was received by Principal Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Korir Sing'oei, family members and government officials. Speaking briefly at the airport, Munyako described his return as a miracle and expressed deep gratitude to the Kenyan government, the Muslim World League, and all who played a role in securing his release. His arrival marked the end of a long legal diplomatic journey, during which over 129 million in diya, that is blood money, was raised to fulfill the court's requirement for his freedom. Here is the full report. Stephen Munyako has returned to Kenya after spending 14 years incarcerated in Saudi Arabia. His ordeal began in April 2011 while working as a warehouse manager. He was involved in a fatal altercation with the Yemeni colleague. Munyako was initially sentenced to 5 years for manslaughter, but after an appeal, the charge was upgraded to murder, resulting in a death sentence by beheading under Saudi law.
What I'm doing with a stick, a walking stick. My maternal granny promised me that she will dance with me when she came with her third leg. So her third leg is here with me today, and sure, she had really danced with it.
His execution was delayed when the victim's family agreed to accept diya, blood money, in accordance with Islamic law. Over the years, his family, led by his mother Dorothy Kweyu, and various Kenyan government officials, religious organizations, and well-wishers, campaigned vigorously for his release.
A year ago, precisely on the 14th of May 2024, in the company of my friend Henry Minor, Mama Dorothy came to my office to plead with government to do what it could to bring Steve back home. Now, Steve's case, as you know, is a long-standing one. For 15 years, this matter had not been resolved. And so even as I told Mama Dorothy that government would do everything that it could to bring Steve back home, I honestly wasn't sure how we would do it, because the conditions for his release were pretty onerous.
In 2025, a settlement of approximately $1 million raised by the Muslim World League and contributions from the Kenyan government and various Kenyan community and religious organizations finally satisfy the court's requirements for his freedom. Very good news indeed. Now moving forward, while global hunger is showing signs of decline, a new United Nations report highlights a troubling trend in Africa, where hunger continues to rise. According to the report, an estimated 512 million people worldwide will remain undernourished by the end of a decade, 60% of them in Africa. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a stark warning during the African Union's Global Food Systems Summit held in Ethiopia. Guterres cautioned that food must never be used as a weapon of war as he joined other leaders in calling for urgent action to address the continent's deepening food crisis. As the October 26th general election approaches in Tanzania, the ruling CCM party has vetted and handed over nomination certificates to candidates aspiring to vie for election. President Samia Suluhu Hassan led the exercise yesterday till overnight. Among the seats to be vied for are members of the parliament seats and representative at ward levels. President Suluhu will be bearing the CCM flag for the first time since she took over power after the passing on of the late Tanzania President John Pombe Magufuli. Here are the details.
Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan is putting her house in order. Here, she is arriving for the CCM Party Top Organ Council event where they will vet, approve and hand over the nomination certificates to candidates in various political seats in the upcoming general elections on October 26th. And indeed, it was an arduous exercise, going by the high number of candidates who had declared their interest to vie on the ruling party CCM ticket. This forced the Top Organ Council to burn the midnight oil up until 3 a.m. for the exercise to be completed. Members of the press who had gathered outside the White House in Dodoma had to wait until then that the CCM party secretary, Amos Makela, came out to address them. It is worth noting that the number of youth who seek the CCM tickets also increased. Just 2 days ago, CCM chair President Samia Suluhu had held a CCM conference in preparation for the momentous exercise.
Nawashukuru sana kwa kuridhia mabadiliko haya madogo ya katiba, na sasa mmetupa nguvu ya kuanza hii kazi ya kuchuja kesho. Kesho tutaanza rasmi, tutakaa kamati ya maadili kupitia majina yote na tutajitahidi kuingiza vijana wengi inavyowezekana katika kutafuta nafasi za kuongoza nchi yetu katika ngazi za ubunge, lakini pia udiwani.
Among those present in the event were Vice Chair Stephen Wasira, Zanzibar President Hussein Mwinyi, and Tanzanian Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa, among others. In the end, candidates were handed over party certificates awaiting a referendum on August 4th to be approved by the party delegates. From Dodoma, Tanzania.
CCM oye! Wajumbe wa mkutano mkuu taifa oye!
I'm Victor Ujun, GBS TV.
Now moving forward, there has been widespread outrage in Cameroon over the disqualification of opposition leader Maurice Kamto from the October presidential election. Of the 83 applications submitted to ELECAM, the country's election oversight body, only 13 were approved. Here are reports. The ambassador will take a short break. We'll be right back with even more as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics.
Welcome to
Fun Dance Class.
Today we will continue learning about Jingle Bell Rock. Friends, First, you cross your arm and put it on top of your head, and as you go in left side, you open it, then you come back to your place.
And then you make your leg 90 degrees. And then as you put your legs until 90 degrees, you need to jump a bit. 1, 2. Then as you jump a bit, you need to stretch your hands downwards.
Stay tuned as we dive into the vibrant world of creativity and expression.
Practice your work.
Yes.
And when you keep on practice, you get better,
Yes.
better and better each day.
Yes.
And as you get better,
Yes.
you get now that niche of yours. Yes.
What advice can you give to those watching who are in a 9-to-5 job, but they have a gift?
My advice would be,
Yes.
do not sleep on your talent.
Yes.
Just show it up to the world.
To the world.
Whether it is art, whether it is music, wherever you are gifted, let the world know what you are doing.
Which classic artist would you love to spend one day painting with, and why?
As Grandma Moses, she started painting in her 70s.
Oh.
And she excelled.
Yes.
As you know, she was a painter.
Yes.
But she started painting professionally
Yes.
well past 70s.
Wow.
And by the time she died in 102, she had done marvelously in the art world.
We are going to go straight to the topic of the day, which is AI in education. AI in education.
AI is called artificial intelligence. I think this is something the computer techs designed to make our life easier.
If you just write everything that's on ChatGPT, when you're going to your work or whatever you want to do, your interview, you're going to feel miserable.
We are going to use AI to show out your creativity, then that's not really you who did it, but like there's AI and there's you combined together.
AI should be just there to maybe enhance your points, but not just to generate for you the answers.
I think it's like 50-50 because sometimes it's like, yeah, you're just using it to like enhance like your creativity, and then other times it's like you're just stealing other people's ideas. You're not like really thinking.
Hello, my name is Nyabio. I'm from Mahanim. Called this school a good school because the second my mom saw it, she saw it was Christian based. And when I see Christian based, that's what the character my mother wants from me. And I like the sports that we play for PE. Like sometimes we play table tennis, we can play football, we match, and on Fridays we have games. And we verse the teachers in football. And this is why I think the school is the best school your children can go to.
Welcome back to the bulletin. And now, representatives from more than 125 countries have gathered at the United Nations for a 3-day conference on achieving a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. The U.S. and Israel are boycotting the event, labeling it as a publicity stunt. France and Saudi Arabia are co-hosting the gathering. Here are the details.
A high-level United Nations summit has convened in New York, drawing representatives from over 125 countries to focus on reviving efforts towards a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine.
France is ready to fully recognize the state of Palestine and will do so in the month of September. This is to build a new alliance between the people in the region based on justice, mutual recognition, and shared humanity, and to close the terrible chapter on war and to open a long-awaited chapter on peace.
Co-hosted by France and Saudi Arabia, the 3-day gathering aims to build international consensus around the creation of an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel, following decades of stalled negotiations and escalating violence.
Firmly in the belief that U.S. engagement, and especially the engagement of President Trump, can be a catalyst for an end to the immediate crisis in Gaza and potentially a resolution of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres opened the event with a call for concrete actions rather than symbolic gestures, urging nations to help bring an end to the occupation and support long-term peace.
Immediately ending violence, immediately ceasing annexation and settlement activities as called by the International Court of Justice, rejecting the forced displacement of the Palestinian population from any part of the occupied Palestinian territory.
The United States and Israel have boycotted the summit, denouncing it as a public stunt that could legitimize Hamas and derail ongoing efforts to end the Gaza conflict and secure the release of hostages.
All right. In northwestern Nigeria, tragedy has struck again. Bandits in Zamfara state have killed 33 people they kidnapped in February, despite receiving a ransom of over $33,000. According to residents and officials, the victims were among 51 villagers abducted from Banda village in the Kaura Namoda district during a violent raid that left 2 dead. After months of anguish, family paid the ransom in 2 installments, hoping to secure their loved ones' release. But only 18 captives returned last Friday. The freed hostages revealed that 33 others had been killed by their captors. The region has long been plagued by heavily armed gangs evolving from herder-farmer tensions into full-blown organized crime, thriving in neglected rural communities where government presence is weak or non-existent. Now moving forward, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday the #1 priority in Gaza was getting people fed. Trump, speaking alongside British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his golf resort in Turnberry, Scotland, said the United States had provided $60 million for humanitarian aid and other nations will have to set up. Paul Emina with more.
Save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. The Prime Minister's going to help us. They're very effective with that. You've done that before.
On Monday, the Gaza Health Ministry said at least 14 people had died in the past 24 hours of starvation and malnutrition. That brings the war's death toll from hunger to 147, including 88 children, most in just the last few weeks. Israel cut off all supplies to Gaza from the start of March, reopening the territory with new restrictions in May. Trump's assessment stood in stark contrast with that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said this at a summit on Sunday in Jerusalem.
Israel is presented as though we are applying a campaign of starvation in Gaza. What a bold-faced lie. There is no policy of starvation in Gaza, and there is no starvation in Gaza.
Trump was asked if he believed Netanyahu's claim that there was no starvation.
I mean, based on television, I would say not particularly, because those children look very hungry.
Israel says it abides by international law, but must prevent aid from being diverted by militants and blames Hamas for the suffering of Gaza's people. The war in Gaza began when Hamas militants rampaged through southern Israel in October 2023. They killed 1,200 and took more than 250 hostages back to Gaza, according to Israeli tallies. Israel's retaliatory invasion has so far killed close to 60 Palestinians. The onslaught reduced to enclave to rubble and displays almost the entire population of over 2 million people. Trump criticized Hamas after Israeli negotiators last week ended to recent rounds of ceasefire talks aimed at an exchange of hostages for Palestinian prisoners held in Israel and an end to the fighting. Hamas is holding an estimated 20 living hostages.
Hamas has become very difficult to deal with in the last couple of days because they don't want to give up these last 20 because they think as long as we have them, they have protection.
Which it claims to release them under ceasefire agreement with Israel. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul Erminer.
Now on to the sports news. Nigeria's Super Falcons touched down in Abuja to a rousing heroes welcome after their dramatic 3-2 victory over host Morocco in the Women's African Cup of Nations final, securing a historic 10th title. But beyond the glory is a story of determination and grit as the team overcame years of neglect, unpaid bonuses, and limited support to rise once again as champions of Africa. Here is the full story.
The Super Falcons received a hero's welcome in Abuja after their dramatic 3-2 victory over Morocco in the Women's African Nations final, securing their record 10th title.
Nigeria women can compete across the globe, which is very important, and it means the women need more empowerment, they need more support because you can see anything they touch turns to gold.
We need a bit of luck sometimes in life, but the resilience of our girls, the determination of our girls, the fitness level of our girls, I mean, nobody could stop them at any time, not just the
Applauded by President Bola Tinubu and millions of fans, the team's triumph was a moment of national pride and celebration.
Honestly, I didn't want to watch the match. I didn't want high blood pressure. But people came in and turned my TV on to that channel. When it was 2-0, I got very offended and restless.
You played with passion, confidence, and an unshakable belief in yourselves that it is not over until it is over.
Their journey was far from smooth. For years, the team faced unpaid bonuses, inadequate training facilities, and a lack of friendly matches, challenges rooted in chronic underfunding and mismanagement. The overdue payments were only cleared days before the final, highlighting the institutional hurdles they had to overcome. Nigeria's early investment in women's football gave them a head start, launching Africa's first women's league in 1978, but the potential of that lead has been lost to neglect. Still, the Super Falcons continue to rise, a testament to the power of perseverance, talent, and unshakable national spirit. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
African champions here in Morocco.
And that's all for today here at The Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I am your Ambassador Susan Nganga. Have a good afternoon.
Everywhere, GBS.